All right, let's get this going. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining this Q&A session for the Smoky Mountains backpacking trip. I am really happy to be putting this together, getting eagles from all over the country together for some adventure in the Appalachians. So my name is Aaron Wolf. I'm certain I don't know half of you. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, so not too far from our proposed area of operations. I am the area director for the Southeast, so I work with Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and Florida. I'm pretty new to the area, but coming from Chicago as of 18 months ago, so a nod to my Midwestern folks. Let's get started. We're going to review the itinerary, the equipment. We're going to go over a suggested route, and then we're just going to field the questions. I know there's going to be a lot of hypotheticals that might pop up. So if you can, feel free to pop them in the chat, and we'll address them once we've run through this little itinerary I've got here. So a little bit about me. I am a huge nature person. Anytime I can spend outdoors is time well spent for me, and I'm really, really thrilled and honestly fortunate to be providing or being able to provide parts of my passion to connect with eagles. So before joining RWB, I was full-time with my company as an outfitting and guide operator, and now we get to have some more fun in that capacity. So I have drafted this 5-day opportunity, or 6-day really, to get folks together for backpacking and a little bit of whitewater rafting. So if you haven't been to the Smoky Mountains, it's a pretty big area. We are going to be playing around just south of the national park in 2 national forests, the Citico Creek Wilderness and the Joyce Kilmer Slick Rock Wilderness of the Nantahala. And a couple of reasons why I chose this area. First, it's absolutely beautiful. It's very rugged. The terrain is very challenging, and to me, that just sounds like the perfect opportunity for eagles to crush a challenge. The second reason is that the Joyce Kilmer Slick Rock Wilderness is named after Joyce Kilmer, who is a World War I veteran who was killed in action, but he's most well known for his poem Trees. And what's really special about the Joyce Kilmer Wilderness is a stand of old growth trees that had somehow evaded the sawyers of the early 1900s and late 1800s. So we have a very unique opportunity to interact with 500-year-old hardwood trees that are massive. And to me, that is really, really cool. On top of old growth trees, we're going to be playing in some of the oldest mountains on the continent. These are billion-year-old mountains, and the waterways are almost just as old. I love exploring in this area. Freshwater streams just kind of bubbling up from the tops of mountains and trickling down into the rivers. It's really a pristine place. So I will share some photos as we make our way through the agenda. But let's kick things off with the itinerary. So you've probably seen that we're flying in on May 20th, and the preferred airports of choice will be Asheville or Knoxville, conveniently in between the two, about 2 to 3 hours in either direction. We're working out shuttles, and so I don't fear too many logistical snafus with getting folks from the airports. From what I've been seeing on the applications, we have a lot of people that are interested in, or at least slightly regional, that'll might opt to just drive themselves. So we might be able to work out some carpool opportunities. I myself have a gigantic 12-passenger van called the Blue Whale. I will be shuttling from Asheville to Bryson City, where we will kick things off at the Nantahala Outdoor Center. NOC is where we're going to start and finish our trip. The first day, we're going to fly in. Hopefully, we all get there, land in the morning or early afternoon, and that way we'll have an opportunity for a nice family dinner at NOC. Our first night and our last night are going to be spent glamping. I use that term lightly because we'll be sleeping in canvas tents if you so wish. You could also just pitch a tent out there on the lawn, or you could upgrade yourself to a bunkhouse and share that with a few eagles as well. All really good options. There's even like motel options if you really want to pamper yourself. Maybe this is something you want to do after the trip on our last night. But nonetheless, we've got glamping already covered. And then, of course, the field portion, which is what we're really here to talk about. So depending on the group size, and at this point, I'm assuming we'll be split into two groups to abide by Forest Service regulations. Our groups cannot exceed 10 people. So we're capping this at 20, and we'll split into two groups to explore different parts of the forest. So here is what I envision going down on at least one of the routes. The terrain is absolutely rugged and challenging. There's not a ton of switchbacks for whatever reason. I think sometimes when the terrain's very steep, whoever built the trails, the Civilian Conservation Corps, back from the times of the New Deal, just didn't do the switchbacks. So sometimes you're just hoofing it right up a ridge, and it's not easy. But again, that's the challenge. So I am going to share my screen and show you a route I have drawn up. Those are a couple pics. Here's a picture of one of the payoffs that I imagine both groups will get a chance to see, but more on that later. Okay. Can everyone see this? All right. So this is a map I created on Gaia, which is a GPS application. I, for the most part, am very confident this is accurate with the exception of this beginning section. I just couldn't get the route to jive with the actual trail. So it says 30.8 miles. It's probably closer to 31 and a half. But nonetheless, here is our entire route outlined in purple. And I think each day we're going to try to crush between 5 to 10 miles, depending on where we want to make camp. So this graph is super helpful because you can track our movement, but you also get an idea of the elevation that we'll be gaining. So this is, the terrain gets really tricky. I promise you will have that hard to forget sensation of feeling your heartbeat in your ears. Probably feel it right around here and right around here. But I always like to think that our first day on the trail is going to be our most challenging. That's usually when adrenaline's the highest. You want to push it. You want to get to camp as soon as possible and just kind of get in the swing of things. So for this route, we're actually going to be starting in Tennessee. This is the Citico Creek Wilderness in the Cherokee National Forest. And imagine we'll cover between 5 miles. Here is where we reach the Fodder Stack Trail, which is basically just a ridge line that almost divides the states of Tennessee, North Carolina. So somewhere around here is where we're going to make first camp. We're going to dip down and mosey on over to some epic waterfalls for our second night. Both groups are definitely going to be hitting up the falls just at different times. I love this place. You can't capture all of it in one photo. And it's really neat. It's a multi-tiered cascade with swimming holes. The water is always cold, so I think late May is this. It's going to be cold, but it won't be too bad. I'm going to take a dip. So from there, we're going to actually, this is my least favorite part of this route. It's just an unforgiving ascent of somewhere in the 3,000 foot range. And from there, we're all basically going to get back to the top of this ridge, make camp, and mosey on down for our hike out. So right now we're looking at about 31.5 miles for one group. The other group, I have a route that is a little less demanding on miles, but nonetheless, those ascents and descents are going to be something you'll never forget. So to that end, you know, like we're going to be hoofing it and sucking air, and it's going to be tough, but the payoffs are unforgettable. So this is a photo from the Hangover Lead. Lead is just another term for ridge. And this place is just like, it's just absolutely epic. 360-degree views. I love it. You can't camp anywhere near it, so it's more like a stop, have a snack kind of place. But hands down, a view that many people will take with them for the rest of their lives. From there, here is just a quick photo of the falls. Again, you can only see 3 cascades, but there's 2 more up here and a big old swimming hole that you can swim around in. So this is absolutely a summer paradise. I hope for warm weather so we can all take a dip. And then finally, here is, this is a picture of an area called Naked Ground. Again, another ridgetop experience. This is from a campsite, and this is a photo of a sunrise, probably around 7 a.m., taken in August. So really peaceful, great opportunities to just find stillness, reflect, and connect to nature. So we've got 4 significant days of hiking that I'm planning, and I can't wait. We're going to have a busy day coming off the trail because we're going to hop into some duckies. If you don't know what a ducky is an inflatable raft. It's either a 1-person or a 2-person raft. And we're going to go down the Nantahala River. We'll be led by a couple of guides that work for the Nantahala Outdoor Center. So if there are any emergencies on the water, we will be in good hands. And again, the payoff on this rafting trip is Nantahala Falls. It is what you make of it. You can either be terrified up front or you can kind of go with the flow in the back and put on a smile. You will be photographed. So it's a good time. It's a great river. If anyone has any reservations about being on the water, I think this is a pretty safe river as far as water goes. It's fast, but the class 3 at the end is really, it's a joy. So I will stop my screen share here and take a look. So once we've finished up with the adventure portion, right, the fun games and rafting downstream, we'll be spending 1 more night at NOC, again, in our glamorous canvas tents, or if you want to upgrade to a bunkhouse or a motel room, that's on you. But you know, we're setting our departure for May 25th. And again, I will be shuttling at least half the people to Asheville, and anyone else remaining, we will absolutely handle. That should not be an issue. So as far as equipment, I'm sure gear is definitely going to be a topic of hot discussion. Anyone that does not have their own equipment, and from what I'm seeing, a lot of people do want to bring their own stuff, which is totally cool. We will be able to provide full outfitting if you don't want to haul your stuff up or bring it on an airplane or whatever. We'll be able to handle that. So one more piece. So if we have 10 people all bring in their own equipment for one group, I just want to call out that these campsites are very small and very tight. Some of them are just nestled into a canyon next to a creek. Some of them are on the top of a mountain. So to that end, we are going to be suggesting that everyone uses a hammock shelter, and these will be provided because you don't need flat ground for a hammock. You need a huge campground. You just need some trees. And I tell you, this place is covered in trees. There will be no no qualms finding a place to camp. So I foresee some exceptions being made for tents, and we can take those as on a case-by-case situation. But hammock camping, I think, is going to be the way to go. The systems that I have to share with everybody have those bug nets. They have tarps and stakes. So it's really a comprehensive system. I think everybody will enjoy them. And then for anyone that honestly wants to bring their own equipment or wants to buy their own equipment, we're in the process of working out some deals with some equipment manufacturers. not to make promises just yet, but well, maybe. We've received paperwork for Nemo and Osprey, and we'll be getting pro deals more or less. So not free. You'll have to pay, but you'll be paying at a significant discount, something to the tune of 40% off, which is pretty good. So more to come on that. I am seeing a question, full equipment, what all is included? Okay, so what will be included with the outfitting? Great question. So the shelter, right, the hammock, sleeping bag, sleeping pad, all our group cookware, our water filters, our bear bags, our bear cans, our bear spray. Honestly, anything that you need to thrive outdoors will be provided. Dry bags in case we get stuck in the rain, pack covers in case we get stuck in the rain. Pretty sure that covers it. But again, if you bring your own gear, if you want to use it, if you want to leave something at home, by all means. So we can get more into that as the night goes on, but that's the rundown. I've been going full steam ahead for about 20 minutes. I do want to throw out, Tim, yes, the coffee pot is the same pot that we'll use for everything else that needs a pot. You can bring your own, but I mean, we'll just boil the water and we're gonna make that instant coffee. If you're looking for pour over, Tim, I don't know if I'll be able to accommodate that. Yeah, French press is definitely on the table. I don't have any. If you want to bring one, Brett, come on out. So there are options. We will be caffeinated. Don't worry, we will be caffeinated. So I do want to call out one thing just so we make sure we have a clear understanding. So this trip is for the most part like heavily subsidized, but it is not at all free of for the most part. So we are covering all the planning and the logistics. There are some small costs involved. So for this trip, we're asking for around $135 per Eagle. That will cover anything you need from, that will cover everything from your lodging at NOC to your rafting to 2 dinners at NOC. So big family dinner before we hit the field, big family dinner from when we get back. And hopefully we'll get some swag in there too. So I just want to make that known. I know in the past there's been some, RWB has just thrown it down hard and very graciously and generously. That isn't necessarily the case with the expeditions. So there are some fees involved, and that's what we're looking at is $135. And of course, getting yourselves to Asheville or to NOC if you're driving is also on you. With all that said, I will open it up to questions or comments, but no suggestions. Just kidding. Anything. Parking at NOC, yes. We can definitely leave our vehicles at NOC. The way I envision this happening is we're all there. We'll have our dedicated vehicles that are going to take each group to the trailheads. And that's it. Anyone who's not driving a vehicle to the trailhead, which will probably be about 45 minutes from NOC, will just leave their vehicle there. Yep. So food is included. All the grub on the trails covered. We'll be doing things family style. We'll be cooking what we can over the fire. We'll be using camp stoves. But don't worry about procuring your, backpacker pantry or mountain house meals for 4 days on the trail. We'll be eating better than that. So hope you guys like home cooked meals with a little bit of dirt. That's what's on the menu. All right, Jonathan, great question. Is there still openings? If so, I can get an application, or where do I access it? I will send you the application form. I think it should still be on the website. but if not, I can send one out to you without an issue. Let me just write you down real quick. So we're going to keep the applications open for a little bit longer. They'll remain open until we have the entire thing filled up. So I think basically we had a couple dozen applications before the Q&A session. So I want to make sure people that haven't found the form, like you, Jonathan, have a fair shot. So please get your applications in, Allison. We'll make sure everyone's counted. I think registration is going to close technically May 1st, but as long as we get this thing filled out, we'll keep a waiting list, or we'll expect some form of attrition. Folks will drop out at some point if there's a scheduling conflict or family something going on. So yeah, that's how we'll do things right now. No decisions have been made. I encourage everyone to fill out an application and be considerate with your responses. Yeah. Thank you, Molly, for putting the link in there. All right, I've got one question I'm going to respond to in private. Sorry, just to reply. Sorry, guys. Tim, you've got a, what type of boots do I recommend? I wear hiking shoes. If you have a need for ankle support, yeah, definitely get boots. I don't recommend, well, I can't, okay, everyone's feet are different. I'm not going to go out and endorse a brand of boots or shoes. I'll honestly be doing a different mix up of hiking shoes and sandals. I forgot to mention this one aspect. There's going to be a lot of water crossings, and some of them are going to be relatively not deep, but swift with holes. So, I mean, I would expect to get into some water that could be waist deep and moving. So yeah, if you got some good water shoes or good hiking sandals, I'd wear those for the water sections. But I personally have a pair of Saluas. They're hiking shoes. They're kind of like a hybrid between trail runners and hiking shoes. I've used La Sportiva in the past, and oh boy, Keen makes a good boot. But honestly, if you need ankle support, get boots. If you're nimble and like to stay light on your feet, go with shoes. And if you're an animal, go barefoot. Are there any, let's see, what would be approximate weight of pack? If you use the provided equipment, good question. Approximate weight, I don't think it should exceed 33 pounds. We're not, with the amount of people we'll have, we should be able to divvy all of our group gear quite easily. That includes food. Food is always going to be your heaviest item, plus water. Your pack's only going to be the heaviest on the first day. And we're gonna hike in. I'm gonna recommend 3 liters of water on each person. So if you have a Camelback bladder, that is going to be your best friend, because for at least for one group, if we do the route I'm suggesting, there will be no water until you get to camp 7 miles down the road. So you want to be filled up. 35 pounds, I think it is fair, and I would aim for less. So if we get sub 30 packs, I think that'd be really good. Okay. Do the glamping sites have power? The bunkhouses do. And you can probably sneak an outlet in somewhere. NOC is a very well-established property or whatever. It's a business, but it's like a mega complex. There's zip lines and high ropes courses. It's honestly like it's an impressive place to be. So there will be electricity. I don't think there'll be electricity inside the canvas tents. But if you want to upgrade, I think the bunkhouse for a 4-person bunkhouse, I think it's $85 a night. So if you find 1, 2, or 3 eagles to split that with, and you're doing pretty well. Any other questions related to glamping? How many liters are the packs? So my packs are going to be anywhere between 65 and 75 liters. Mostly Osprey and Deuter. I think the Deuters are 70 plus 10, and the Osprey Apex are, I think, 75-liter packs. I'm taking some notes here real quick, guys. So, fun. Okay. All right. What else? Do we need to talk about wildlife? Anyone afraid of snakes or bears or hogs? All of the above. Welcome to the Smoky Mountains. There is an invasive feral swine problem, I guess, in the greater part of the country, but they've been known to tear it up out here. Here's a question. I don't have to ramble. How much is it if we won't use your gear? The costs honestly are not going to change. This is really just me like making gear accessible so we can do this thing. Yeah, the costs honestly cover the lodging, some food, like the big dinners, and the rafting. Okay, good question. When would we know if we're selected? Thank you for asking, Corey. I understand you need to take time off work, and this isn't just a simple Friday long weekend. So, we're gonna give it another week or two for applications to come in, because this session is going to be recorded and not everybody has been able to see it. So we're giving everyone a fair shot to get the information they need to make a decision. And we'll be in touch with I guess those dates. Okay. What would be the coldest at night? Good question. So the 2 high elevation campgrounds are going to be close to the 5,000 foot mark. It will be chillier and more windy, but not frigid. Our sleeping bags will cover 35 degrees. You'll want to sleep in some layers if you tend to get cold. Another tip I would suggest is bringing a sleeping bag liner to kind of add an extra layer of insulation. You've heard the term "dress like an onion." Same thing can apply. Yeah, bring your whoopee. Honestly, poncho liner, sleeping bag liner, they'll serve the same purpose. And then Brett, thank you for chiming in. The gear is a separate piece. Team RWB has been able to subsidize and make available as part of our work to make opportunities like this as accessible as possible. Thank you for adding that. Just touch back on the temperature at night, the layers. Be bold, start cold. So in the mornings is, maybe we're going to be sitting in the high 40s, but you're about to hike legit. You're going to get hot. You don't want to stop and have to layers and bring the group, to a halt. So I'm going to be hiking in a tee or like a lightweight base layer, a rain jacket if it's raining. But that to say, you want to be prepared for temperatures that might get down into the 40s. You want to be prepared for rain. It most likely will rain on one of the days we're out there. It is a temperate rainforest. There is no dry season. It just rains, not continually, but throughout. So you saw some of the pictures I shared, the beautiful sunny days. I wouldn't worry about getting washed out of this. But it is likely we will get rained on. What else we got? Oh, thanks. Yeah. So there is a training plan. It will be wrapped up sometime this week and will be released next week. We're working on a 6-week training plan to get folks in fighting shape. It's really, it consists of 3 workouts per week, one of which is a training hike. Our biggest goal really is to train your lower body, your core, your legs, and your mind for a sustained movement. We're not training to get jacked and shredded, but we need to have strong hearts. We need to have strong core, have strong legs, and we need to be prepared to be in perpetual movement, even if it's a crawling pace. We're going to be loaded down with our packs. Even if 35 pounds doesn't seem too heavy, after an hour, it will become cumbersome. It also greatly limits your range of motion. So you're not going to be so light-footed and swift when you're hopping across rocks in the stream. You're going to be more of a waddle at some points. And, so we want to make sure that everyone's strong where it matters most. And this 90% of it's mental. So we can get you through some tough training elements. And I'm not too worried about you getting up the mountains or down the mountains. One more piece of gear I want to address. If you have access to hiking poles, those would be a great tool. You can always grab a stick off forest floor, but hiking poles are hands down one of the most valuable pieces of gear. I have some I can lend out. I don't know if I'll be able to fully provide for everybody. We are working on that piece. I would love to get a group like Montum or Mount Smith to hook it up, but no commitments have been made, so I cannot say we will all have hiking poles, just to make that abundantly clear. Yes, I'm in the process of compiling the process of processes for ordering gear. So once I get in touch with the retailers, we'll be able to order gear directly from them. 34 liters is definitely way too small. 34 liters would get you good for a day or two. So let's see. Yeah, again, all these gear discounts that are coming through, they're coming. They're just the process is not yet established. So it's either going to be everyone placing an order through RWB and us doing it that way. But I think the simplest will be for you to send in the form yourself and have that equipment sent directly to you. One thing I think would also be helpful before the trip actually takes place, and once we have everyone kind of selected and ready to go, we'll do another session to talk about packing equipment, trail etiquette, leave no trace practices, stuff like that, just to save a little bit of time when we on site on May 20th. We'll already have the beta and we can just kind of roll right into having a great time. John Lindsay, can we attend more than one event from Team RWB, or is it just a pick one deal? I don't think there's a limit. Correct if I'm wrong, any of my colleagues, but I think so long as there are spaces, yeah, man, like make it a year to remember. Yeah, good question, Allison. If you have gear that you want to use, bring it. If not, yeah, we will talk. We'll have to go through kind of selecting gear if you're using some of mine, just so we have things sized properly. All right. The outgoing flights on the 25th. Yeah, I would aim to have late morning at the earliest. How long is it going to take you to get from Bryson City, North Carolina to your airport, either Asheville or Knoxville? Probably about a 2-hour drive to either one. Again, if you have your own vehicle, or if you rented a vehicle, or you've got a buddy who's going to give you a lift, you guys can leave as early as you want. So that, you know, getting here and leaving, going home, or on the Eagles to figure out. And, you know, I imagine there will be a cluster of Eagles that are flying out within a window of time, and that will likely be where I enlist the Blue Whale to deliver you safely to the airport. I'll also add, while we have the crickets going, the training plan, we're going to be able to put this up on the app as opportunities to create chapter events and for you to check in. One thing that we kicked around, or I kicked around with one of our colleagues, was incentivizing the training plans and getting folks hopefully some sweet gear, either attending or not attending, just for checking in on the app and participating. As you saw when I had the route up, we're going to be doing mock hikes to translate that into chapter events as well. So even if you can't make it, you guys can still tap in and do 9-mile hike with 2,500 feet of elevation, or some equivalency to that. I don't know what that would look like. If you're Chris Thompson, maybe you're rowing for 17 hours straight. I don't know, but there'll be opportunities to interact and kind of have a team dynamic through all of this. Yeah. There you go. Sears Tower. Thank you for acknowledging its real name, Brett. Calling it what it is and will always be. I think at this point, if anyone wants to just like chime in on audio, we can forego the chat. I don't mind if no one else minds. Otherwise, we can give you 17 minutes of your evening back.
Hey, Aaron, is with the training plan that's going to be coming out, even if we are unfortunate enough not to kind of make the cut for the trip, will that still be accessible for everybody to just do the training plan just for their own?
Yeah, definitely. A great question. And yeah, the training plan will be made public. And you know, I don't have a background in training anything outside of my own self to not die in the mountains. But I'm pretty excited for this one. This is going to be a great opportunity for people to really drill down and focus on maybe some parts or exercise that get neglected. So let's see. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, here's a great question. Safety first. Thank you for prioritizing that in my notes. Medical emergencies. So I am going to be, as leading one of the groups, I am certified wilderness first responder. So anything that goes down with my group is going to be handled to the best of my knowledge. This is a certification that any mountain guide should have. It is the gold standard for backcountry operations, more or less. As for the other group, I will be bringing on another guide with a wilderness first responder certification. So that will be, you'll be covered. If anything happens, there's definitely not going to be like, oh shit, what do we do? Broken leg, concussion, there's not going to be anyone scrambling to make decisions. We're going to have a plan. So thank you for asking that. Very important to cover. And we can even go over some really basic like wilderness medicine tips before we all hit the trails. Full risk assessment, almost a foreign term to me. It's been so long, but yeah. Here's my risk assessment. Rocks, water, bears, snakes, wild eagles, flying, anything can happen. Tim, I appreciate you bringing the duct tape because that is absolutely in my kit. My first aid kit has duct tape. We train with duct for our woofer certifications. I don't suggest bringing a whole roll because holy cow, that's heavy. But you never know when someone's just acting out of line and you just need to tape them up. Molly with the question, she wants to bring her 44 Magnum into the field. The most dangerous predator in the Appalachians would be the boojum. The boojum, for those that do not know or unfamiliar, is the Appalachian equivalent or the eastern cousin to the Yeti. And we can get into that later. After the boojum, I would say man, also known as the hillbilly. No, the Tim Cooper is the most dangerous predator in the Appalachians. Honestly, bears have been, bears are bears. They're going to want what you have, and that's food. This time of year, we're going to be, the cubs will be emerging. I don't think cubs will be leaving the den at that time, but you never know. I would just stay on the trail because there's really no choice. You're either going to be tumbling down the side of a mountain or like in some water. So you're going to stay on the trail. We shouldn't have any bear encounters. Cougars have been extirpated from the Appalachians for about 160 years, unfortunately. There is a significant population of eastern coyote. Again, not a threat. I carry a bear spray, so anything that wants to mess with us can get sprayed. But again, in all my years, I've never had an issue with bears or wildlife outside of raccoons. And I do not mess with raccoons. All right, does that settle it? Cool. Well, if you have any questions, I'll drop my email in the chat here. Oops. Everybody. All right. any questions that we didn't cover, or you need some more clarity on, logistics, timing of this whole thing, expected day by day itinerary as hiking goes, if people really want to know, like maximum maybe 10 miles one day, 5 on another, things like that. Just hit me up and we'll keep this application open for a couple weeks, give everyone a fighting chance. And man, I am stoked. I just can't wait to share the Smokies with RWB and see what comes of it. This is really a great opportunity. Jonathan with the real talk. You're right, my friend. All right. You guys have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.